the 3, 2, 1,
They're only going to be charmed.
Alcatraz says to the Golden Gate Bridge, "How does it feel to be the last thing that so many people touched?" The Golden Gate Bridge says to Alcatraz, "With all your history, you should know." Alcatraz clears its stony throat and says to the Golden Gate Bridge, "There are many kinds of ghosts." They watch each other over the washed-out San Francisco Bay, under the streams of cars peeling headlight, taillight off the wet asphalt. Alcatraz says to the Golden Gate Bridge, "What did they tell you before they jump?" The Golden Gate Bridge says to Alcatraz, "Mostly they just say sorry, but I know they're not talking to me." A trolley car crests over Market Street, hurtling past Chinatown, a light in red and gold street smoke as summer rain drifts onto the sizzling grills, drowned out by shouting and the trolley bells. The Castro says to the Golden Gate Bridge, "There's a girl who's thinking about us. She wakes up in the night with images of cheap used cars smoking barrel race through South Dakota, only stopping for directions and cheap red wine. She wants to be a part of something. She wants to understand her father. She wants to hang drunk from trolley cars and roll in pretentious poetic history. She wants to start a literary movement where they worship Maya Angelou and Margaret Atwood. Her disciples will fight over her shopping lists. They'll sew their lips shut and rip them open every time they want to speak, so they know every word is necessary and perfect. They'll live off dumpster-dived alphabet soup and use the noodles to write their manifestos. They'll sleep in piles in warehouse lofts and spend the days lurking in bookstores, smelly and growling, and they'll be miserable all the time." The Golden Gate Bridge said to the Castro, "She sounds like an asshole." The Golden Gate Bridge said to the Castro, "Which of us will she end up hanging from by the fingernails?" Alcatraz says to the Golden Gate Bridge, "Why do they find you so beautiful?" The Golden Gate Bridge says to Alcatraz, "You'd be amazed where they find beauty. They find beauty in suffering. They find beauty in pretentious, angst-ridden teenage wanderlust. They find beauty in abandoned buildings and burnt cars, in roadkill and hallucinations. They find beauty in dying." Alcatraz says to the Golden Gate Bridge, "What on earth is wanderlust?" The Golden Gate Bridge shrugs, very carefully, and says to Alcatraz, "It sounds like a white people thing." Alcatraz looks at the Golden Gate Bridge and tries to imagine what dying feels like. It doesn't feel beautiful. They watch each other over the washed-out San Francisco Bay and hold their breath. Let's pretend they're having a century of silence in memory of each of us.